That's wobble. That's wobble time. That's wobble. Hey girls, hey. Top of the day, everybody. Okay, we're live on YouTube. Double check my volumes real quick. That's wobble, TC, that's wobble. Y'all, we are Friday already. Let's skip a chapter. 40 more. Skip a chapter. 43. Okay. Okay, beautiful people. All right, today it is Friday. Happy Friday, happy Friday. It is December the 4th, 2020, day 15 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 685. Yes, 685. Today, y'all, we are reading Genesis 43, 44, 40, and 45, and then we're going to read the corresponding chapters, not everything that corresponds with it today, but just a portion of what corresponds with, which is found in Jasher chapter 53 and 54. I tell you, Jasher 54 has probably got to be my most favorite chapter out of the book of Jasher. You will see why. I'm thinking I read this to y'all. I know I mentioned it to you. I'm not sure if you read it. I know a couple of you have read it. Okay, that's when we're gonna find out today that, you know, they're gonna go back to Egypt with their brother Benjamin. You know, then they're gonna find out this dude might be related to us. But Genesis doesn't give us the detail on how they figured that out. They skipped that whole part, which they should have also canonized. But I tell you, let me tell you, the more information I find and the more information that I read, I'm telling you, the Bible, the canonized 66 books of the Bible is such a dumbed down version of what really happened. I started now, I'm sure y'all have heard about it, the Legends of the Jews, right? And so if you've heard of it, some people have read it. It's been around, it's been out there for a while. Some people have read it, some people have not. I just started, actually I have it. I have all the volumes to it on electronic version, but you know, I opened up one, I was kind of just skimming through it, not actually reading it. So yesterday I decided to, you know what, let me start listening to some of this, and I'm surely glad I did, because I started, where I decided to start listening at was like the rebellion of Korah, right? But we'll learn about Korah here in a few weeks. And I say a few weeks, I know we learn about that right when they come out of Egypt, out of the captivity the first time. I said a couple weeks because I decided yesterday that instead of going right to Exodus, we're going to go ahead and go to the Book of Enoch. Yes, one of my favorite books. Yes. And I decided to do that because there's so much information in there that was not given in Genesis, and it really should have probably come before Genesis. Although Genesis, they said that was beginnings, the book of beginnings. Genesis is not the beginning, and I hope y'all get what I'm saying. It is the beginning in regards to it being the Bible and telling a story, but there's a lot of other information that was missing out of that, that's been scattered through other books, where it probably should have been made the first book instead of Genesis being made the first book. But I get it. Genesis is part of the Torah. I get it. So you will see what I'm saying. If you've never read through the Book of Enoch, you will see why I say that. So you all, let us go ahead and get started here with the reading for today. Let me fix this screen, and then we're going to hop right over to Jasher. All right. So, not tomorrow, Sunday will be our last day in Genesis. And no, I'm sorry, tomorrow, Saturday, will be our last day in Genesis. And Monday morning, we start in the Book of Enoch. All right. So tomorrow it'll just be, where we at? 45. Yeah, we can. What? No, I'm sorry. Monday will be our last. Monday will be our last day. Yeah, Monday will be our last day in Genesis, and Tuesday we'll start Enoch. Okay, I'm moving too fast, y'all. I ain't write it down, and I skipped a couple chapters. Okay. Can you buy a book with Enoch? Do you mean can you buy the Book of Enoch, Tylane? Yeah, you can, but you can also get it. You definitely can buy it. You can buy it in Apocrypha. You can buy it separately. You can go to YouTube and listen to it. The whole thing is recorded. Matter of fact, I'll put both, like the PDF version that you can find online. I'll put it in there, and I'll put the audio version in there. Let's see. And PDF. I remember to put that in there, but you can buy it. You can go to Amazon. You can go anywhere. You can get an Apocrypha. You know, it's readily available. Okay, y'all. So I'll put that in there. Nikki, Betwabu. Okay, y'all, let's go ahead and get started. Genesis 43. But the famine continued to ravage the land of Canaan. When the grain they had brought back from Egypt was almost gone, Jacob said to his sons, "Go back and buy us a little more food." Like, first of all, let's recall everybody that one of our brothers is missing here, that we left him and he's waiting for us to come back. Like, we're just like, they didn't go back till they ran out of food. And mind you, when they left, they had, I don't know how much they had, but they had enough to last them for a little while. It may not be that long. I don't know. It could have been a week. I don't know. It really doesn't specify, but it does say that their sacks were loaded with grain. You know, okay, but I digress. Go back and buy us a little more food. But Judah said, the man was serious when he warned us, you won't see my face again unless your brother is with you. If you send Benjamin with us, we will go down and buy more food. But if you don't let Benjamin go, we won't go either. Remember, the man said, you won't see my face again unless your brother is with you. Why were you so cruel to me? Jacob moaned. Why did you tell him you had another brother? The man kept asking us questions about our family, they replied. He asked, is your father still alive? Do you have another brother? So we answered his questions. How can we know that he would say, bring your brother down here? Judah said to his father, send the boy with me and we will be on our way. Otherwise, we will all die of starvation. Not only we, but you and our little ones. I personally guarantee his safety. You may hold me responsible if I don't bring him back to you. Then let me bear the blame forever. If we hadn't wasted all this time, we could have gone and returned twice by now. See, they were back home for a minute, B. And Simeon just sitting down there, just chilling. So their father Jacob finally said to them, if it can't be avoided, then at least do this. Pack your bags with the best products of this land. Take them down to the man as gifts: balm, honey, gum, aromatic resin, pistachio nuts, and almonds. Also, take double the money that was put back in your sacks, as it was probably someone's mistake. Then take your brother and go back to the man. May Yahuwah give you mercy as you go before the man, so that he will release Simeon and let Benjamin return. But if I must lose my children, so be it. So the men packed Jacob's gifts and doubled the money and headed off with Benjamin. They finally arrived in Egypt and presented themselves to Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the manager of his household, these men will eat with me this noon. Take them inside the palace, then go slaughter an animal and prepare a big feast. So the man did as Joseph told him and took them into Joseph's palace. I'm sorry, hold on 1 second. I forgot to minimize this. I wonder why I couldn't see anything. Okay. The brothers were terrified when they saw that they were being taken into Joseph's house. It's because of the money someone put in our sacks last time we were here, they said. He plans to pretend we stole it. Then he will seize us, make us slaves, and take our donkeys." The brothers approached the manager of Joseph's house and spoke to him at the entrance palace. "Sir," they said, "we came to Egypt once before to buy food, but as we were returning home, we stopped for the night and opened our sacks. Then we discovered that each man's money, the exact amount paid, was in the top of his sack. Here it is. We have brought it back with us. We also have additional money to buy more food. We have no idea who put our money in our sacks." "Relax. Don't be afraid," the household manager told them. "Your God, the God of your father, must have put this treasure into your sacks. I know I received your payment." Then he released Simeon and brought them out to them. The manager then led the men into Joseph's palace. He gave them water to wash their feet and provided food for their donkeys. They were told they would be eating there, so they prepared their gifts for Joseph's arrival at noon. When Joseph came home, they gave him the gifts they had brought him, and then they bowed low to the ground before him. After greeting them, he asked, "How is your father, the old man you spoke about? Is he still alive?" "Yes," they replied. "Our father, your servant, is alive and well." And they bowed low again. Remember Joseph's dream when he saw them bowing low before him? I tell you. Then Joseph looked at his brother Benjamin, the son of his own mother. "Is this your youngest brother, the one you told me about?" Joseph asked. "May Yahuwah be gracious to you, my son." Then Joseph hurried from the room because he was overcome with emotion for his brother. He went into his private room where he broke down and wept. After he washed his face, he came back out, keeping himself under control. Then he ordered, "Bring out the food." The waiter served Joseph at his own table, and his brothers were served at a separate table. The Egyptians who ate with Joseph sat at their own table because the Egyptians despised Hebrews and refused to eat with them. Joseph told each of his brothers where to sit, and to their amazement, he seated them according to age, from oldest to youngest. And Joseph filled their plates with food from his own table, giving Benjamin 5 times as much as he gave the others. So they feasted and drank freely with him. Genesis 44. When his brothers were ready to leave, Joseph gave these instructions to his palace manager. "Fill each of their sacks with as much grain as they can carry, and put each man's money back into his sack. Then put my personal silver cup at the top of the youngest brother's sack, along with the money for his grain." So the manager did as Joseph instructed him. The brothers were up at dawn and were sent on their journey with their loaded donkeys. But when they had gone only a short distance and were barely out of the city, Joseph said to his palace managers, "Chase after them and stop them. When you catch up with them, ask them, 'Why have you repaid my kindness with such evil? Why have you stolen my master's silver cup, which he uses to predict the future? What a wicked thing you have done.'" When the palace manager caught up with the men, he spoke to them as he had been instructed. "What are you talking about?" the brothers responded. "We're your servants and we would never do such a thing. Didn't we return the money we found in our sacks? We brought it back all the way from the land of Canaan. Why would we steal silver or gold from your master's house? If you find his cup with any one of us, let that man die." Boy, I tell you, these Hebrews got a problem with speaking out of turn, don't they? Okay. I said that because of what Jacob said to Laban. Like, look, if you find any of your gods here in my house, let the person who stole them die. But I tell you, you got to watch what you say out your mouth, people. Okay. "If you find his cup with any one of us, let that man die, and all the rest of us, my lord, will be your slaves." "That's fair," the man replied, "but only the one who stole the cup will be my slave. The rest of you may go free." They all quickly took their sacks from the backs of their donkeys and opened them. The palace manager searched the brothers' sacks from the oldest to the youngest, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. They was all ready to die. When the brothers saw this, they tore their clothing in despair. Then they loaded their donkeys again and returned to the city. Joseph was still in his palace when Judah and his brothers arrived, and they fell to the ground before him. "What have you done?" Joseph demanded. "Don't you know that a man like me can predict the future?" Judah answered, "Oh, my lord, what can we say to you? How can we explain this? How can we prove our innocence? Yahuwah is punishing us for our sins. My lord, we have all returned to be your slaves. All of us, not just our brother who had your cup in his sack. No, Joseph said, I would never do such a thing. Only the man who stole the cup will be my slave. The rest of you may go back to your father in peace. Then Judah stepped forward and said, Please, my lord, let your servant say just one more word to you. Please don't be angry with me, even though you are as powerful as Pharaoh himself, my lord. Previously, you asked us, your servants, do you have a father or brother? And we responded, Yes, my lord, we have a father who is an old man, and his youngest son is a child of his old age. His full brother is dead, and he alone is left of his mother's children, and his father loves him very much. And you said to us, Bring him here so I can see him with my own eyes. But we said to you, My lord, the boy cannot leave his father, for his father would die. But you told us, Unless your youngest brother comes with you, you will never see my face again. So we returned to your servant, our father, and told him what you had said. Later, when he said, Go back again and buy us more food, we replied, We can't go unless you let our youngest brother go with us. We'll never get to see the man's face unless our youngest brother is with us. Then my father said to us, As you know, my wife had 2 sons, talking about Rachel, and one of them went away and never returned. Doubtless he was torn to pieces by some wild animal. I have never seen him since. Now, if you take his brother away from me, and any harm comes to him, you will send this grieving, white-haired man to his grave. And now, my lord, I cannot go back to my father without the boy. Hey, Pooh. Go back upstairs with Dad. I'm almost done. Well, I'm not almost done, but I'll be done in a few, okay? Our father's life is bound up in the boy's life. If he sees that the boy is not with us, our father will die. We, your servants, will indeed be responsible for sending that grieving white-haired man to his grave. My lord, I guaranteed to my father that I would take care of the boy. I told him, if I don't bring him back to you, I will bear the blame forever. So please, my lord, let me stay here as a slave instead of the boy, and let the boy return with his brothers. For how can I return to my father if the boy is not with me? I couldn't bear to see the anguish that this will cause my father. All right, y'all. Last chapter before we get into the details of this. Now, from the end of 44 to chapter 45, it skips a whole bunch of detail that ensued, because 45 starts with Joseph could stand it no longer. There were so many people in the room that he said to his attendants, Out all of you. So he was alone with his brothers, and he told them who he was. Before he told them who he was, they was about to get the scrapping. Judah said, Look, I'm going to take responsibility. Benjamin got to come back with me. Joseph wasn't hearing that, so we're going to read that. That's why I say Jasher chapter 54 is the most favorite chapter in the book of all the books that I have found. It's okay. I'm not going to tell anymore. I'm super excited about reading that to y'all. Okay. Then he broke down and wept. He wept so loudly the Egyptians could hear him, and word of it quickly carried to Pharaoh's palace. I am Joseph, he said to his brothers. Is my father still alive? But his brothers were speechless. They were stunned to realize that Joseph was standing there in front of them. Please, come closer, he said to them. So they came closer, and he again said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into slavery in Egypt. But don't be upset, and don't be angry with yourselves for selling me to this place. It was Yahuwah who sent me here ahead of you to preserve your lives. This famine that has ravaged the land for 2 years will last 5 more years, and there will be neither plowing nor harvesting. Yahuwah has sent me ahead of you to keep you and your families alive and to preserve many survivors. So it was Yahuwah who sent me here, not you. And he is the one who made me an advisor to Pharaoh, the manager of his entire palace and governor of all of Egypt. Now hurry back to my father and tell him, this is what your son Joseph says. Yahuwah has made me master over all the land of Egypt. So come down to me immediately. You can live in the region of Goshen, where you can be near me with all your children and grandchildren, your flocks and herds, and everything you own. I will take care of you there, for there are still 5 years of famine ahead of us. Otherwise, you, your household, and all your animals will starve. Now listen to that point right there. They weren't, you know what? I won't. I'll hold that comment for a later date because I'm coming back to that comment. Let me keep going. Then Joseph added, "Look, you can see for yourselves, and so can my brother Benjamin, that I really am Joseph. Go tell my father of my honored position here in Egypt. Describe for him everything you have seen, and then bring my father here quickly." Weeping with joy, he embraced Benjamin, and Benjamin did the same. Then Joseph kissed each of his brothers and wept over them, and after that they began talking freely with him. The news soon reached Pharaoh's palace. Joseph's brothers have arrived. Pharaoh and his officials were all delighted to hear this. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Tell your brothers, this is what you must do. Load your pack animals and hurry back to the land of Canaan. Then get your father and all of your families and return here to me. I will give you the very best land in Egypt, and you will eat from the best that the land produces." Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Tell your brothers, take wagons from all the land of Egypt and carry your little ones, your children and your wives. Take wagons from the land of Egypt to carry your little children and your wives and bring your father here. Don't worry about your personal belongings, for the best of all the land of Egypt is yours." So the sons of Jacob did as they were told. Joseph provided them with wagons as Pharaoh had commanded, and he gave them supplies for the journey. And he gave each of them new clothes, but to Benjamin he gave 5 changes of clothes and 300 pieces of silver. He also sent his father 10 male donkeys loaded with the finest products of Egypt, and 10 female donkeys loaded with grain and bread and other supplies he would need on his journey. So Joseph sent his brothers off, and as they left, he called after them, "Don't quarrel about all this along the way." And they left Egypt and returned to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan. "Joseph is still alive," they told him, "and he is the governor of all the land of Egypt." Jacob was stunned at the news. He couldn't believe it. But when they repeated to Jacob everything Joseph had told them, and when he saw the wagons Joseph sent to carry him, their father's spirits revived. Then Jacob exclaimed, "It must be true. My son Joseph is alive. I must go see him before I die." Okay, y'all. So let's jump right over here into the book of Jasher, or Jasher. Jasher chapter 53, y'all. Okay, so 53 is we're gonna seem to backtrack just a little bit and give us some of the same things we have already read, but it's going to give us a little bit more detail. Let's fix this. And then you're going to see what I'm talking about in Jasher 55. Okay. Get my handy dandy highlighter. All right, y'all. Jasher 53. And the sons of Jacob rose. That's my mouse being messing me up sometime. Okay. And the sons of Jacob rose up and took Benjamin and the whole of the presents, and they went and came to Mitzrayim and stood before Joseph. And Joseph beheld his brother Benjamin with them, and he saluted them. And these men came to Joseph's house. And Joseph commanded the superintendent of his house to give his brethren to eat, and he did so unto him. At noontime, Joseph sent for the men to come before him with Benjamin. And the men told the superintendent of Joseph's house concerning the silver that was returned in their sacks. And he said unto them, "It will be well with you, fear not." And he brought their brother Simeon unto them. And Simeon said unto his brethren, "The Lord of Egypt has acted very kindly unto me. He did not keep me bound, as you saw with your eyes. But when you went out from the city, he let me free and dealt kindly with me in his house." And Judah took Benjamin by the hand, and they came before Joseph, and they bowed down to him to the ground. And the men gave the present unto Joseph, and they all sat before him. And Joseph said unto them, "Is it well with you? Is it well with your children? Is it well with your aged father?" And they said, "It is well." And Judah took the record which Jacob had sent and gave it into the hand of Joseph. And Joseph read the Sefer and knew his father's writing, and he wished to weep. And he went into an inner room, and he wept a great weeping when he went out. And he lifted up his eyes and beheld his brother Benjamin. And he said, Is this your brother of whom you spoke unto me? And Benjamin approached Joseph, and Joseph placed his hand upon his head. And he said unto him, May Yahuwah be gracious unto you, my son. And when Joseph saw his brother, the son of his mother, he again wished to weep. And he entered the chamber, and he wept there, and he washed his face, and he went out and refrained from weeping. And he said, Prepare the food. And Joseph had a cup from which he drank, and it was of silver, beautifully inlaid with onyx stones and bdellium. And Joseph struck the cup in the sight of his brethren while they were sitting to eat with him. And Joseph said unto the men, I know by this cup that Reuben the firstborn, Simeon and Levi and Judah, Issachar and Zebulun are children from one mother. Seat yourselves to eat according to your births. Hold on. I gotta come back to this. Hold on. And he also placed the others according to their births. And he said, I know that this is your I know that this your youngest brother has no brother, and I, like him, have no brother. He shall therefore sit down to eat with me. And Benjamin went up before Joseph and sat upon the throne. And the men beheld the acts of Joseph, and they were astonished at them. And the men ate and drank at the time with Joseph, and he gave presents unto them. And Joseph gave one gift unto Benjamin. And Manasseh and Ephraim saw the acts of their father, and they also gave presents unto him. And Asenath gave him one more present, and there were 5 presents in the hand of Benjamin. And Joseph brought them out wine to drink, and they would not drink. And they said, From the day on which Joseph was lost, we have not drunk wine, nor eaten any delicacies. And Joseph swore unto them, and he pressed them hard. And they drank plentifully with him on that day. And Joseph afterward turned to his brother Benjamin to speak with him. And Benjamin was still sitting upon the throne before Joseph. And Joseph said unto him, Have you begotten any children? And he said, Your servant has 10 sons, and these are their names: Bela, Becher, Ashbel, Gera, Naaman, Ikki, Rosh, Muppim, Chuppim, and Ard. And I called therefore their names after my brother, whom I have not seen. And he ordered them to bring before him his map of the stars, whereby Joseph knew all the times. Hold on, I gotta highlight this, y'all, because I'm looking at something. I'm studying something. Hold on. I'm gonna just read that again for anybody who was paying attention. And he ordered them to bring before him his map of the stars, whereby Joseph knew all the times. And Joseph said unto Benjamin, I have heard that the Hebrews are acquainted with all wisdom. Do you know anything of this? And Benjamin said, Your servant is knowing in all the wisdom in which my father taught me. And Joseph said unto Benjamin, Look now at this instrument, and understand where your brother Joseph is in Egypt, who you said went down to Egypt. And Benjamin beheld that instrument with the map of the stars of heaven, and he was wise, and looked therein to know where his brother was. And Benjamin divided the whole land of Egypt into 4 divisions, and he found that he who was sitting upon the throne before him was his brother Joseph. And Benjamin wondered greatly. And when Joseph saw that his brother Benjamin was so much astonished, he said unto Benjamin, What have you seen, and why are you astonished? And Benjamin said unto Joseph, I can see by this that Joseph my brother sits here with me upon the throne. And Joseph said unto him, I am Joseph your brother. Reveal not this thing unto your brother, and behold, I will send you with them when they go away, and I will command them to be brought back here again into the city, and I will take you away from them. I don't think anybody caught what Joseph just said, with the exception of my sister Alicia. Let me read this again, y'all. Pay attention to what they are doing. Pay attention to what they are doing. Pay attention to what they are doing. I'm not going to go into detail, but I want y'all to start paying attention. Okay? Okay. Because this is still being done today. Yet, Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Let me just read this again. Just pay attention. I'm gonna keep going. I know some of y'all just girl and spit it out, but I can't just yet. Y'all gotta see with your own eyes and hear with your own ears before it'll even begin to click with you. Okay? Okay, listen. And Benjamin said unto Joseph, I can see by this that Joseph, my brother, sits here with me upon the throne. And Joseph said unto him, I am Joseph, your brother. Reveal not this thing unto your brethren. Behold, I will send you with them when they go away, and I will command them to be brought back again into the city, and I will take you away from them. Remember, they sitting here looking over a map of the stars or the map of the constellations to see where they're at. They were very well acquainted with the sky and the map and the time clock that is in the sky that is identical to the locations and everything, which is also, mind you, has been calculated accordingly and put into watches and into GPSs. They all pull all this information directly from the sky. Back here, they didn't need the GPS because they knew how to calculate it manually. Today, we lazy. Give me a watch, give me a map, what the GPS say. But they knew how to do it from memory and by sighting and looking. They studied this, y'all. This is how they were able to do a lot of this stuff and go across the earth at will. All right, I'll leave it at that. And if they dare their lives and fight for you, then shall I know that they have repented of what they did unto me, and I will make myself known to them. And if they forsake you when I take you, then you shall remain with me, and I will wrangle with them, and they shall go away, and I will not become known to them. At that time, Joseph commanded his officer to fill their sacks with food, and put each man's money into his sack, and put the cup into the sack of Benjamin, and to give them provision for the road. And they did say unto them, and on the next day, and they did so unto them. And on the next day, the men rose up early in the morning, and they loaded their asses with their grain. And they went forth with Benjamin, and they went to the land of Canaan with their brother Benjamin. They had not gone far from Egypt when Joseph commanded him that was set over his house, saying, Rise up, pursue these men before they get too far from Egypt, and say unto them, Why have you stolen my master's cup? Remember, Benjamin at this time was the only one that knew what Joseph was about to do to his brothers, right? Okay, just make sure y'all tracking with me. And Joseph's officer rose up, and he reached to them, and he spoke unto all them the words of Joseph. And when they heard this thing, they became exceedingly wroth, and they said, He with whom your master's cup shall be found shall die, and we also will become slaves. And they hastened, and each man brought down his sack from his ass, and they looked in their bags, and the cup was found in Benjamin's bag. And they all tore their garments, and they returned to the city. And they smote Benjamin in a road, continually smiting him until he came into the city. And they stood before Joseph. And Judah's anger was kindled, and he said, This man has only brought me back to destroy Egypt this day. And the men came to Joseph's house, and they found Joseph sitting upon his throne, and all the mighty men standing at his right and his left. And Joseph said unto them, What is this act that you have done, that you took away my silver cup and went away? But I know that you took my cup in order to know thereby in what part of the land your brother was. Remember what they just sat there and they was doing, right? Because he told him, he said, Don't you know that I can tell the future? This is, when they found it, they said, this is how my master is able to tell the future with this cup. And he said, well, he making them think that he thinks that they stole it because they wanted to take that cup and see the future and find out where Joseph was, right? And so now, and they pissed because they saw Benjamin took the cup. And so now they beating him like he a thief, you know. I'm like, y'all live with your brother all this time. This man probably ain't never stole a thing. And well, I mean, proof is there. The cup was in his bag, you know. So I don't know. I probably would have thought the same thing. I don't know. I don't know that I would have beat him on the whole way back. Okay. And the men came to Joseph's house, and they found Joseph sitting upon his throne, and all the mighty men standing at his right and his left. And Joseph said unto them, What is this act that you have done, that you took away my silver cup and went away? But I know that you took my cup in order to know thereby in what part of the land your brother was. And Judah said, What shall we say to our Lord? What shall we speak to how shall we justify ourselves? Yahuwah has this day found iniquity in all of your servants. Therefore he has done this thing unto us. And Joseph rose up and caught hold of Benjamin, and took him from his brethren with violence. And he came to the house and locked the door at them. And Joseph commanded him that was set over Egypt, that he should say unto them, Thus says the king, Go in peace to your father. Behold, I have taken the man in whose hand my cup was found. Now remember, Benjamin already knew that Joseph was about to do this. So he just kind of went along with it. He was probably glad to go along with it because his brothers beat his tail the whole way back, right? Okay, now, here go the chapter, y'all, that I was talking about. Jasher, chapter 54. And remember, Judah said to his father, I alone will be responsible. Before, when Reuben was like, look, you can kill my two youngest kids if we don't come back with him, right? So Judah has stepped up and said, let me be fully responsible for Benjamin as we take him back. Okay, Jasher, chapter 54. And when Judah saw the dealings of Joseph with them, Judah approached him and broke the door open and came with his brethren before Joseph. And Judah said unto Joseph, Let not it seem grievous in the sight of my Lord. May your servant, I pray you, speak a word before you. Mind you, his temper's already flaring, and he probably speaking as calmly as he can speak at this point right now. And Judah said unto Joseph, Let it not seem grievous in the sight of my Lord. May your servant, I pray you, speak a word before you. And Joseph said unto him, Speak. And Judah spoke before Joseph, and his brethren were standing before them. And Judah said unto Joseph, Surely, when we first came to our Lord to buy food, you did consider us as spies of the land. And we brought Benjamin before you, and you still make sport of us this day. Now therefore, let the king hear my words, and send, I pray you, our brother, that he may go along with us to our father, lest your soul perish this day with all the souls of the inhabitants of Egypt. Lest your soul perish this day with all the souls of the inhabitants of Egypt. Do you not know what two of my brethren, Simon and Levi, did unto the city of Shechem? Y'all remember what we just read? Y'all remember what them two men did to that entire city, right? He's just going to run through their memories just in case they didn't hear how bad and fearful they were. Listen. Do you not know what my brethren, Simeon and Levi, did unto the city of Shechem, and unto the 7 cities of the Amorites on the account of our sister Dinah? And also, what would they do for the sake of their brother Benjamin? And I, with my strength, who am greater and mightier than both of them, come this day upon you in your land, if you are unwilling to send our brother. Have you not heard what our God, who has made choice of us, did unto Pharaoh on the account of Sarah our mother, whom he took away from our father, that he smote him and his household with heavy plagues, that even unto this day Egypt relate this wonder to each other? So will our God do unto you on account of Benjamin, whom you have this day taken from his father, and on account of the evils which you this day heap over us in your land. For our God will remember his covenant with our father Abraham, and bring evil upon you, because you have grieved the soul of our father this day. Now therefore hear my words that I have spoken unto you this day, and send our brother, that he may go away, lest you and the people of your land die by the sword, for you cannot prevail over me. And Joseph answered Judah, saying, hold on, y'all. Listen to this. These boys about to get dirty. And Joseph answered Judah, saying, why have you opened your mouth wide? Hold on. Why have you opened wide your mouth? And why do you boast over us, saying, strength is with you? As Pharaoh lives, if I command all my valiant men to fight with you, surely you and these your brethren would sink into the mire. And Judah said unto Joseph, surely it becomes you and your people to fear me. As Yahuwah lives, if I once draw my sword, I will not sheath it again until I shall this day have slain all Egypt, and I will commence with you and finish with Pharaoh your master. And Joseph answered and said unto him, Surely strength belongs not to you alone. I am stronger and mightier than you. Surely if you draw your sword, I will put it in your neck and the necks of all your brethren. I'm like, oh snap, it's about to go down. Y'all should have seen me the first time I was reading this, y'all. Okay. And Judah said unto him, Surely if I this day open my mouth against you, I will swallow you up, that all you be destroyed from off the earth, and perish this day from your kingdom. And Joseph said, Surely if you open your mouth, I have power and might to close your mouth with a stone, until you shall not be able to utter a word. See how many stones are before us? Truly I can take a stone and force it into your mouth and break your jaws. And Judah said, Yahuwah is witness between us, that we have not hitherto desired to battle with you. Only give us our brother, and we will go from you. And Joseph answered and said, As Pharaoh lives, if all the kings of Canaan came together with you, you should not take him from my hand. Now therefore go your way to your father, and your brother shall stay with me for a slave, for he has robbed the king's house. And Judah said, What is it to you, or to the character of the king? Surely the king sends forth from his house throughout the land silver and gold, either in gifts or expenses, and you still talk about your cup, which you did place in our brother's bag, and say he has stolen it from you? Far be it that our brother Benjamin or any of the seed of Abraham should do this thing to steal from you or from anyone else, whether king, prince, or any man. Now therefore cease this accusation, lest the whole earth hear your words, saying, For a little silver the king of Egypt wrangled with the men, and he accused them and took their brother for a slave. And Joseph answered and said, Take unto you this cup, and go from me, and leave your brother for a slave, for it is the judgment of a thief to be a slave. And Judah said, Why are you not ashamed of your words, to leave our brother and to take your cup? Surely, if you give us your cup, or 1,000 times as much, we will not leave our brother for the silver which is found in the hand of any man, that we will not die over him. And Joseph answered, And why did you forsake your brother and sell him for 20 pieces of silver unto this day? And why then will you not do the same to your brother? And Judah said, Yahuwah is witness between me and you, that we desire not your battles. Now therefore give us our brother, and we will go from you without quarreling. And Joseph answered and said, If all the kings of the land should assemble, they will not be able to take your brother from my hand. And Judah said, What shall we say to our father when he sees that our brother comes not with us, and will grieve over him? And Joseph answered and said, This is the thing which you shall tell unto your father, saying, The rope has gone after the bucket. And Judah said, Surely you are a king, and why speak you these things, giving a false judgment? Woe unto the king who is like unto you. And Joseph answered and said, Okay, love you. Okay. And Joseph answered and said, There is no false judgment in the word that I spoke on account of your brother Joseph. For all of you sold him to the Midianites for 20 pieces of silver, and all you denied it to your father, and said unto him, An evil beast has devoured him. Joseph has been torn into pieces. And Judah said, Behold, the fire of Shem burns in my heart. Now I will burn all your land with fire. And Joseph answered and said, Surely your sister-in-law Tamar, who killed your sons, extinguished the fire of Shechem. I'm like, oh, wait, what? Bruh, they is going at it. And Judah said, If I pluck out a single hair from my flesh, I will fill all of Egypt with its blood. And Joseph answered and said, Such is your custom to do as you did to your brother whom you sold, and you dipped his coat in blood and brought it to your father in order that he might say, An evil beast has devoured him, and here is his blood. And when Judah heard this thing, he was exceedingly wroth, and his anger burned within him, and there was before him in that place a stone, the weight, yes, baby. It kept dying and dying and dying. You gotta plug it in, baby girl. Go plug it in. Go plug it in. Yes. Okay. I'll stop that. Go plug it in, and then after it comes alive, punch the code in. You know the code. All right. And when Judah heard this thing, he was exceedingly wroth, and his anger burned within him. And there was before him in that place a stone, the weight of which was about 400 shekels. And I believe, y'all, 400 shekels is about 75 pounds. I read that in here somewhere. And he placed it afterward under his leg, and he sat upon it with all his strength, and the stone was turned into dust from the force of Judah. Let me pause right there. For this boy's thighs, this man's thighs, to be able to put a 400-pound shekel, no, what does it say? It weighed 400 shekels, which is about 75 pounds. For this man to put that stone under his thigh and crush it with his thigh, and it turned to dust, everybody that was round about should have just fainted to the ground, like, no, we don't want none of this. We don't want no smoke, homie. Let's go. Hey, you see what he just did with his thigh? Bruh, imagine a force in his arms and all of them together. Like, that would have put the fear of y'all in me. And I'm like, y'all better quit coming around here messing with these good people. Give him his brother back and let's go. Go. What else y'all need? Y'all need something else? Like, I'd be like, nope, not today. I'm out of here. Okay. Let me just read this again. And when Judah heard this thing, he was exceedingly wroth, and his anger burnt within him. And there was before him in that place a stone, the weight of which was about 400 shekels. And Judah's anger was kindled, and he took the stone in one hand and cast it to the heavens, and caught it with his left hand, and he placed it afterward under his leg, and he sat upon it with all his strength, and the stone was turned into dust from the force of Judah. Bruh. And Joseph saw the act of Judah, and he was very much afraid. But he commanded Manasseh his son, and he also did with another stone like unto the act of Judah. And Judah said unto his brethren, Let not any of you say that this man is an Egyptian, but by his doing this thing, he is one of our father's family. Like, that boy belong to us. Ain't nobody got the kind of strength like that but the sons and daughters of Jacob. Like, so they start to think. And Joseph said, Not to you only is strength given, for we are also powerful men. And why will you boast over us all? And Judah said unto Joseph, Send, I pray you, our brother, and ruin not your country this day. And Joseph answered and said unto them, Go and tell your father, an evil beast has devoured him, as you have said concerning your brother Joseph. And Judah spoke unto his brother Naphtali, and he said unto him, Make haste, go now and number all the streets of Egypt, and come and tell me. And Simeon said unto him, Let not this thing be trouble to you. Now I will go to the mount and take up one large stone from the mount and level it at everyone in Egypt, and kill all that are in it. And Joseph heard all these words that his brethren spoke before him, and they did not know that Joseph understood them, for they imagined that he knew not how to speak Hebrew. And Joseph was greatly afraid at the words of his brethren, lest they should destroy Egypt. And he commanded his son Manasseh, saying, Go, now make haste, and gather unto me all the inhabitants of Egypt, and all the valiant men together, and let them come to me now upon horseback, and on foot, and with all sorts of musical instruments. And Manasseh went and did so. Joseph knew about the musical instruments too, about the King David's army. Although they ain't came up, where y'all think King David's army got it from? How Yahuwah told them how to set the ranks up. This is how we go in and slaughter our enemies. You got to distract them with the music. Bring it down a little bit. I'm telling y'all, man, if y'all knew how Yahuwah warred with his people, oh gosh, if our people would understand that today, the whole world would realize who the sons and daughters of Jacob are. And that fear that our ancestors had back in this day, the fear that was resting on all the people who knew who they were, it would immediately come back this day. Bruh. And Naphtali went as Judah had commanded him, for Naphtali was light-footed as one of the swift stags, and he would go upon the ears of the grain, and they would not break under him. And he went and numbered all the streets of Egypt, and found them to be 12. And he came hastily and told Judah, and Judah said unto his brethren, Hasten you, and put on every man his sword upon his loins, and we will come over Egypt and smite them all, and let not a remnant remain. And Judah said, Behold, I will destroy 3 of the streets with my strength, and you shall each destroy 1 street. And when Judah was speaking this thing, behold, the inhabitants of Egypt with all the mighty men came toward them with all sorts of musical instruments and with loud shouting. And their number was 500 cavalry and 10,000 infantry, and 400 men who could fight without sword or spear, only with their hands and strength. And all the mighty men came with great storming and shouting, and they all surrounded the sons of Jacob and terrified them. And the ground quaked at the sound of their shouting. And when the sons of Jacob saw these troops, they were greatly afraid for their lives. And Joseph did so in order to terrify the sons of Jacob to become tranquilized. I told you, it tranquilizes people. You gotta understand how to subdue your enemy with noise and fright. And we don't even get into all that and what they did, y'all. And Judah, seeing some of his brethren terrified, said unto them, Why are you afraid, while the grace of Yahuwah is with us? And when Judah saw all the people of Egypt surrounding them, at the command of Joseph to terrify them, only Joseph commanded them, saying, Do not touch any of them. Then Judah hastened and drew his sword, and uttered a loud and bitter scream, and he smote with his sword, and he sprang upon the ground, and he still continued to shout against all the people. And when he did this thing, Yahuwah caused the terror of Judah and his brethren to fall upon the valiant men and all the people that surrounded them. And they all fled at the sound of the shouting. We found out they did this somewhere else. Remember in Joshua, when they was going around that wall, it's the same principle, the same thing that they doing, y'all. It's the same principle of war that Yahuwah teaches his people. And they fled at the sound of the shouting, and they were terrified, and they fell upon the other, and many of them died as they fell. And they all fled from before Judah and his brethren, and from before Joseph. And while they were fleeing, Judah and his brethren pursued them unto Pharaoh's house, and they all escaped. And Judah again sat before Joseph and roared at him like a lion, and gave a great and tremendous shriek at him. And the shriek was heard at a distance, and all the inhabitants of Succoth heard it, and all Egypt quaked at the sound of the shriek. And also the walls of Egypt and the land of Goshen fell in from the shaking of the earth. And Pharaoh also fell from upon his throne unto the ground. And all the pregnant women of Egypt and Goshen miscarried when they heard the noise of the shaking, for they all were terribly afraid. And Pharaoh sent word, saying, What is this thing that has happened this day in the land of Egypt? And they came and told him all the things from beginning to end. And Pharaoh was alarmed, and he wondered and was greatly afraid. And his fright increased when he heard all these things. He said, What they doing down here in my city? They doing what? And his fright increased when he heard all these things. And he sent unto Joseph, saying, You have brought unto me the Hebrews to destroy all of Egypt. What will you do with that thievish slave? Send him away and let him go with his brother, and let us not perish through their evil, even we, you, and all of Egypt. And if you desire not to do this thing, cast off from you all my valuable things, and go with them to their land. He said, Bro, if you don't get them out of here, you better give me all my stuff back, and you go with them. Don't get out of here. If you desire not to do this thing, cast off from you all my valuable things, and go with them to their land, if you delight in it. For they will this day destroy my whole country and slay all my people. Even all the women of Egypt have miscarried through their screams. Think about that, y'all. See what they have done merely by their shouting and speaking? Moreover, if they fight with the sword, they will destroy the land. Now therefore choose that which you desire, whether me or the Hebrews, whether Egypt or the land of the Hebrews. And they came and told Joseph all the words of Pharaoh. that he had said concerning him. And Joseph was greatly afraid at the words of Pharaoh. And Judah, his brethren, were still standing before Joseph, indignant and enraged. And all the sons of Jacob roared at Joseph like the roaring sea and its waves. And Joseph was greatly afraid of his brethren on account of Pharaoh. And Joseph sought a pretext to make himself known unto his brethren, lest they should destroy all of Mitzrayim. See, in the dumbed down version that we get, it looks like, okay, y'all came back. This is my brother. I'm y'all brother. I'm Joseph. And he wept. And you know what I'm saying? It takes out all of this stuff. Y'all know how people, we listen and say, what happened next? Like, we love a good story, especially if it's true. Man, we get so hyped listening to this. Just imagine how much strength our people would gain if they knew how Yahuwah really stood with us, if we would only cry out to him to be our help. I'm like, come on, y'all got to get it. Please wake up. Hey, guys, just go read it for yourself. Come on, please. Look, listen, he just waiting on us, y'all. Why is y'all still standing around? Who's standing with me? Come on, let's do this. Let's try this. Like, I'm all for it. Let's go. I'm ready all day long. Let's go. All right. And Joseph was greatly afraid of his brethren on account of Pharaoh. And Joseph sought a pretext to make himself known unto his brethren, lest they should destroy all of Egypt. And Joseph commanded his son Manasseh, and Manasseh went and approached Judah, and placed his hand upon his shoulder. And the anger of Judah was stilled. And Judah said unto his brethren, let no one of you say that this act of a Egyptian youth, that this is the act of an Egyptian youth, for this is the work of my father's house. Judah was like, no, them boys are of us. Don't nobody do this type of stuff with us. Nobody has this type of power except for those whom Yahuwah has made choice of. Only us. I don't care what none of y'all say. That boy is the seed of our father. And Joseph, seeing and knowing that Judah's anger was stilled, he approached to speak unto Judah in the language of mildness. And Joseph said unto Judah, surely you speak the truth, and have this day verified your assertions concerning your strength, and may your God, who delights in you, increase your welfare. But tell me truly, why from amongst all your brethren do you wrangle with me on account of the lad, as none of them have spoken one word to me concerning him? And Judah answered Joseph, surely you must know that I was security for the lad to his father, saying, if I brought him not unto him, I should bear his blame forever. Therefore I have approached you from amongst all my brethren, for I saw that you were unwilling to suffer him to go from you. Now therefore may I find grace in your sight, that I shall send him to go with us, that you shall send him to go with us. And behold, I will remain as a substitute for him, to serve you in whatever you desire. For wheresoever you shall send me, I will go to serve you with great energy. Like, you see what I just did? Bruh, let my brother go. I'm going to serve you just like that. All that energy, all that force, I'm going to keep that. And I'm going to keep it and do with it whatever you tell me to do, bruh. Just send my brother back home. Send me now to a mighty king who has rebelled against you, and you shall know what I will do unto him and unto this land, and unto his land, although he may have cavalry and infantry, or an exceeding mighty people, I will slay them all, and bring the king's head before you. Do you not know, or have you not heard, that our father Abraham with his servant Eleazar smote all the kings of Elam with their hosts in one night, and they left not one remaining? And ever since that day our father's strength was given unto us for an inheritance. If y'all got this, y'all better underline that. Y'all better highlight this. Y'all better speak it into the voice note. Remind yourself. You better write it on your refrigerator, sticky note, or something. Listen to this. All of the blood-born sons and daughters of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Listen, I'm going to read this again. Y'all. Pay attention. Do you not know, or have you not heard, that our father Abraham with his servant Eleazar smote all the kings of Elam with their hosts in one night? They left not one remaining. Here's what you need to highlight. And ever since that day, our father's strength was given unto us as an inheritance, and our seed forever. I already got it highlighted in here. Y'all need to highlight it. Remember that. Think about some of the things while Now it makes sense that when they approach our men and women in the streets, they shoot first, ask questions later. Why are they automatically afraid of our people who don't even possess weapons? And ever since that day, our Father's strength was given unto us for an inheritance, and to our seed forever. And Joseph answered and said, You speak truth, and falsehood is not in your mouth. For it is also told unto us that the Hebrews have power, and that Yahuwah delights much in them, and who then can stand before them? However, on this condition, I will send your brother, if you will bring before me his brother, the son of his mother, whom you have said he has gone from you down to Egypt. And it shall come to pass, when you bring unto me his brother, I will take him in his stead, because not one of you was security for him to your father when he shall come. And when he shall come unto me, I will send with you his brother from whom you have been security. He said, y'all doing all this for him. He said, but who stood security for Joseph when y'all sold him into slavery? Not one of you stood for him like y'all stood for him, like y'all stood for Benjamin. He said, now go get him. And when you bring me him, I'll let Benjamin go. Not knowing that who he was telling Judah to go get was him, he himself speaking. I'll read that again. I'll just go back to 61. And Joseph answered and said, You speak truth, and falsehood is not in your mouth. For it was also told to us that the Hebrews have power, and that Yahuwah delights much in them, and who then can stand before them? However, on this condition, I will send your brother, if you will bring before me his brother, the son of his mother, of whom you said he had gone from you down to Egypt. And it shall come to pass, when you bring unto me his brother, I will take him in his stead, because not one of you was security for him to your father. And when he shall come unto me, I will then send with you his brother for whom you have been security. And Judah's anger was kindled against Joseph when he spoke this thing, and his eyes dropped blood with anger. And he said unto his brethren, How does this man this day seek his own destruction, and that of all of Egypt? And Simeon answered Joseph, saying, Did we not tell you at the first? We knew not the peculiar spot to which he went, and whether he be dead or alive. And wherefore speaks my Lord like unto us these things? He said, We just told you, we don't know where the boy at. And Joseph, observing the countenance of Judah, discerning that his anger began to kindle, when he spoke unto him, saying, Bring unto me your other brother instead of this brother. And Joseph said unto his brethren, Surely you said that your brother was either dead or lost. Now if I should call him this day, and he should come before you, would you give him unto me instead of his brother? And Joseph began to speak and call out, Joseph, Joseph, come this day before me, and appear to your brethren, and sit before them. And when Joseph spoke this thing before them, they looked each a different way to see from whence Joseph would come before them. And Joseph observed all their acts, and said unto them, Why do you look here and there? I am Joseph, whom you sold to Egypt. Now therefore let it not grieve you that you sold me. For as a support during this famine did Yahuwah send me before you. And his brethren were terrified at him when they heard the words of Joseph, and Judah was exceedingly terrified at him. And when Benjamin heard the words of Joseph, he was before them in the inner part of the house. And Benjamin ran to Joseph his brother, and embraced him, and fell upon his neck, and they wept. And when Joseph's brother saw that Benjamin had fallen upon his brother's neck and wept with him, they also fell upon Joseph and embraced him, and they wept a great weeping with Joseph. And the voice was heard in the house of Joseph that they were Joseph's brethren. And it pleased Pharaoh exceedingly, for he was afraid of them, lest they should destroy Egypt. And Pharaoh sent his servants unto Joseph to congratulate him concerning his brethren who had come to him. And all of the captains of the armies and the troops that were in Mitzrayim came to rejoice with Joseph. And all of Mitzrayim rejoiced greatly about Joseph's brother. And Pharaoh sent his servants to Joseph, saying, Tell your brother to fetch all the belongings of them, and let them come unto me, and I will place them in the best part of the land of Egypt. And they did so. And Joseph commanded him that was set over his house to bring out his brethren gifts and garments, and he brought out to them many garments, being robes of royalty, and many gifts, and Joseph divided them amongst his brethren. And he gave unto each of his brethren a change of garments of gold and silver, and 300 pieces of silver. And Joseph commanded them all to be dressed in these garments, and to be brought before Pharaoh. And Pharaoh, seeing that all Joseph's brethren were valiant men and of beautiful appearance, he greatly rejoiced. And they afterward went out from the presence of Pharaoh to go into the land of Canaan to their father, and their brother Benjamin was with them. And Joseph rose up and gave unto them 11 chariots from Pharaoh. And Joseph gave unto them his chariot, which upon he rode on the day of his being crowned in Egypt, to fetch his father from Egypt. And Joseph sent all his brothers' children garments according to their numbers, and 100 pieces of silver to each of them. And he also sent garments to the women of his brethren from the garments of the king's women, and he sent them. And he gave unto each of his brethren 10 men to go with them to the land of Canaan, to serve them, to serve their children, and all belonging to them and coming to Egypt. And Joseph sent by the hand of his brother Benjamin 10 suits of garments for his 10 sons, a portion above the rest of the children of the sons of Jacob. And he sent to each 50 pieces of silver, and 10 chariots on the account of Pharaoh. And he sent to his father 10 asses laden with all the luxuries of Mitzrayim, and 10 she-asses laden with grain and bread and nourishment for his father, and to all that were with him as provisions for the road. And he sent to his sister Dinah garments of silver and gold and frankincense and myrrh and aloes and women's ornaments in great plenty. And he sent the same from the women of Pharaoh to the women of Benjamin. And he gave unto all his brethren also to their women all sorts of onyx stones and bdellium, and from all the valuable things amongst the great people of Mitzrayim. Nothing of all the costly things was left but what Joseph sent to his father's household. And he sent his brethren away, and they went, and he sent his brother Benjamin with them. And Joseph went out with them to accompany them on the road unto the borders of Egypt. And he commanded them concerning his father and his household to come to Egypt. And he said unto them, do not quarrel on the road, for this thing was from Yahuwah to guard a great people from starvation, for there will be yet 5 years of famine in the land. And he commanded them, saying, when you come into the land of Canaan, do not come suddenly before my father in this affair, but act in your wisdom. And Joseph ceased to command them, and he turned and went back to Mitzrayim. And the sons of Jacob went to the land of Canaan with joy and cheerfulness to their father Jacob. I want my inheritance. I'm telling you, Trina, yes. And they came to the borders of the land, and they said to each other, what shall we do in this manner before our father? For if we come suddenly to him and tell him the matter, he will be greatly alarmed at our words and will not believe us. And they went along until they came nigh unto their houses. They found Sarah, the daughter of Asher, going forth to meet them, and the damsel was very good and subtle, and knew how to play upon the harp. And they called unto her, and she came before them, and she kissed them. And they took her and gave unto her a harp, saying, go now before our father, and sit before him, and strike upon the harp, and speak these words. And they commanded her to go to their house, and she took the harp, and hastened before them, and she came and sat near Jacob. Everybody knows how powerful music is, right? Even this day, we know, depending on what type of music you listen to, it can change your mood. Music also has healing capability, but they knew this then, and it was used. Even with King, he wasn't king yet, with King Saul and David, the same thing. There's power in music to elevate, change moods, and also to heal. All right. And hold on. What was that? Okay. And they commanded her to go to their house, and she took the harp and hastened before them. And she came and sat near Jacob. And she played well and sang and uttered in the sweetness of her words, Joseph, my uncle, is living, and he rules throughout the land of Mitzrayim, which is Egypt. He is not dead. Getting it playing in his subliminal messaging. They're getting that going on to prepare him for what's about to happen. And she continued to repeat and utter these words. And Jacob heard her words, and they were agreeable to him. He listened while she repeated them twice and thrice, and joy entered to the heart of Jacob at the sweetness of her words. And the spirit of Yahuwah was upon him, and he knew all her words were to be, and he knew all her words to be true. And Jacob blessed Sarah when she spoke these words before him, and he said unto her, My daughter, may death never prevail over you, for you have revived my spirit. Only yet speak to me as you have spoken, for you have gladdened me with all your words. And she continued to sing these words, and Jacob listened, and it pleased him, and he rejoiced, and the spirit of Yahuwah was upon him. Also, y'all, if y'all are reading the Sefer version, they're actually using the word ruach. So if you hear anybody say ruach, it simply means spirit. And it says here, the ruach of Yahuwah, or the spirit of Yahuwah was upon him. Okay, just in case you didn't know. I know some of you do. At least most of you here, I know you do, but maybe some that don't. I just wanted to bring that out. Okay. If you go get one of you trying to figure it out. But at the beginning of it, it does an explanation. Like if you get it Sefer, I tell everybody, you will learn a whole lot just by reading the introduction to this and of any Bible, because the introductions of just about all the Bibles that I had actually tell you that they replace the real name of Yah with generic terms. Like they tell you the truth in the beginning, but nobody ever reads the preface and the introduction where they're telling you the truth, and then they go on to read it and create stuff, make stuff up. When the introduction clearly tells you, hey, these are generic names. We removed the real name of the creator of heaven and earth, and we gave him a generic term like God or Elohim, right? Okay, so I just wanted to throw that out there. Okay. While he was yet speaking with her, behold, his sons came to him with horses and chariots and royal garments and servants running before them. And Jacob rose up to meet them, and he saw his sons dressed in royal garments, and he saw all the treasures that Joseph had sent to them. And he said unto them, Be informed that our brother Joseph is living, and it is he who rules throughout the land of Egypt, and it is he who spoke unto us as we told you. And we only have a few more verses, then we'll be done, y'all. And Jacob heard all the words of his sons, and his heart palpitated at their words, for he could not believe them until he saw all that Joseph had given them, and what he had sent him, and all the signs which Joseph had spoken unto them. And they opened out before him and showed him all that Joseph had sent, and they gave unto each what Joseph had sent him. And he knew that they had spoken the truth, and he rejoiced exceedingly on account of his son. And Jacob said, It is enough for me that my son Joseph is still living. I will go and see him before I die. And his sons told him all that had befallen them. And Jacob said, I will go down to Egypt to see my son and his offspring. Okay, Trina, we got like 5 verses, then we done. And Jacob rose up and put on the garments which Joseph had sent him. And after he had washed and shaved his hair, he put upon his head the turban which Joseph had sent him. And all the people of Jacob's house and their women put on the garments which Joseph had sent to them. And they greatly rejoiced at Joseph, that he was still living, and that he was ruling in Egypt. And all the inhabitants of Canaan heard of this thing, and they came and rejoiced much with Jacob, that he was still living. And Jacob made a feast for them for 3 days, and all the kings of Canaan and nobles of the land ate and drank and rejoiced in the house of Jacob. And that, my beautiful people, is our reading for today. Shucks, Jasher 54 was 110 verses, but it's probably one of the, I ain't gonna say the best chapter, but it is one of the best chapters that I love so much through here. All right, y'all. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and go on over here to the blessing, which is found in Numbers chapter 6. And while I'm pulling this up, let me just quick recap for everybody. It is Friday, November the 4th, 2020, day 15 of year through 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. And of the 3-year consecutive day count, we are on day 685. Number 6. Okay. Remember, the first 21 verses in Numbers chapter 6 is the Nazirite vow. And the last few verses is the blessing, starting at verse 22. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, May Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, y'all. And again, that was Genesis 43, 44, and 45. And we read the corresponding chapters in Jasher 53 and 54. Remember, I'll go ahead and put the links to these two chapters in there. Everybody should have a regular Bible. Y'all know where to find 43, 44, and 45 of Genesis at. And I also, Tylane, I'll put in the audio of the Book of Enoch, the audio and the PDF, if you don't have like a hardback copy. You know, the stuff is everywhere. Y'all can find everything. Yes, Natasha. Yeah, they know our strength. They do so much to keep us, let's just say, they do so much to keep us not knowing who we are, so we don't begin to turn around and call on the true God of heaven and earth, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, our mighty one, our strength, the one who has made choice of us. All right, y'all. I love y'all. Gotta go. I'll see y'all tomorrow, 7:30, Saturday, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, y'all. Peace.